Buenos días. Good morning. Aquí Enrique Sánchez, del área de promoción red exterior de Extenda, la empresa pública andaluza de promoción exterior de la Junta de Andalucía. Bienvenidos a este webinario que organizamos hoy desde Extenda acerca de las oportunidades en el sector salud y sanitario en los Emiratos Árabes Unidos. Ya saben ustedes que desde Extenda venimos trabajando desde hace ya años en la promoción de productos y servicios andaluces en Oriente Medio y en concreto en la península arábiga, y que desde 2009 contamos con la colaboración de la oficina Extenda Dubái, que es una eficacísima colaboradora en toda la organización de la implementación de los servicios que se prestan allí, tanto acciones individuales como acciones agrupadas. Yo creo que muchos de ustedes, la gran mayoría, ya lo saben, y parte de esos servicios que prestamos consisten en divulgar posibilidades que percibimos en esos mercados. Ese es el propósito de esta sesión de hoy, en la que contamos con ponentes de gran categoría. Contamos con ponentes de la empresa emiratí MPC, que pertenece al grupo Albata del Emirato de Sharjah. Es una empresa con varias divisiones dentro del mundo del sector salud en Emiratos, con una gran implantación, con una gran relación con el resto de la cadena del sector en los Emiratos, y para ello tenemos la suerte de contar con la señorita Yasmín Izar Muñoz, del Departamento de Marketing y Comunicación de MPC, y con el señor Yudnesh Goradara, también de MPC, que va a compartir sus visiones con nosotros. Las presentaciones se van a hacer parcialmente en castellano, parcialmente en inglés, quiero que lo sepáis. La presentación se está grabando y la compartiremos al final. Contamos, por supuesto, con la valiosa presentación de Rosario Millán, nuestra directora de la oficina de Dubái. Y también vamos a contar con la inestimable colaboración de una empresa andaluza que generosamente va a compartir su experiencia en los Emiratos y sus recomendaciones con nosotros, que es la empresa Eurogaza de Córdoba, una empresa de carrozado de ambulancias y de dressing de ambulancias y también de servicios de urgencia, en la figura de la persona de Manuel Mazo, su International Manager. Así que muchas gracias a todos por la asistencia. Tenemos 21 inscritos, 21 empresas andaluzas que trabajáis en este campo. Esperamos que los contenidos sean de vuestro interés, y yo, sin más, finalizo y le doy la palabra a Rosario Millán, nuestra directora en Dubái. Rosario, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Enrique. I'd like to, first of all, thank everybody who is joining the webinar and who has shown an interest in this market, especially in the sector of the medical, health, and pharma, everything related to the health sector in a broad approach. Of course, we have to thank, and we are very happy to have with us MPC in the persons of Jasmine, who has been so kind and generous cooperating with us in organizing this webinar for all of you, and Mr. Jinesh Goradara, Business Development Market, that is going to explain, also join us, showing the opportunities that this market can offer, and which can be of very good interest for our producers, manufacturers, and providers of services and products in Andalusia, our companies. So I would like just to mention some notes about the UAE. You know, the geostrategic and geographical position that the UAE holds in the Arabian Peninsula, being a bridge between several continents, let's say Asia, Africa, especially all this East Asia, and of course Europe. You all know that the UAE has excellent infrastructures regarding logistics, regarding the traffic of passengers, of goods. We have the ports like Jebel Ali. We have the international airports in a radius of 200 kilometers. We have 4 international airports. So just to give you an idea of the commercial hub and infrastructure first country that we are dealing with. It's amazing. The UAE also has, from the governments, federal and from each emirate, they have a policy of diversifying the economy. This is very important. One of the sectors that have, let's say, has the support of the government in growing and diversifying is the health sector, not only to provide and cover the needs of the residents, but also like to expand and be position the UAE, especially Dubai, as a tourist medical city or emirate, where we have over all the needs that you can imagine. There are special clusters like Dubai Healthcare City, where you can find so many clinics and services. Everything is there. They are pushing very much to position the UAE as a very excellent medical attraction delivering services for any tourist, internationally, globally. The growth of this sector is also supported by different factors that we can mention briefly, like, for example, the expectancy of life has improved significantly in the UAE. Now it's around 79 years old. We have the population growing. And right now, the population of the UAE is around 10 million people. So the market itself is growing. With this growth also come some things that are not so good, but are common to developed societies. Let's say some public health issues like diabetes, cancer, cardiovascular diseases. All this, the government is paying a great attention and doing very massive campaigns to educate the people, to provide all the screenings and, to do all these services. Before, some years ago, if you have a cancer or a rare disease, a lot of local people used to go abroad to take care of themselves. Right now, in the Emirates, all these diseases and all these services are provided. So we can see the difference between, let's say, some years ago and what is offered right now. So it's a very interesting market, very dynamic, where the government has making the investment on the public side, and also the private sector is investing in creating these medical and health infrastructures that are good not only for the locals and residents, but also for attracting tourism. In this sense, we have a lot of regulation that Ginesh and Jasmine are going to explain, the regulatory authorities, how is it divided. I'm not going to enter into this. What I wanted to portray is like the Emirates is a very safe market, it's very regulated, very complex and mature market. We have plenty of regulations that the companies, of course, has to abide by. And the economical moment right now is very positive, very dynamic, very open. The World Bank has issued the estimation for the growth of the economy around 4.6, between 4.3, 4.6 for this year, 2023. So let's say that the moment is good to consider entering this market with all, of course, the precautions and the information, and knowing that it's a very mature market where possibilities are here, opportunities are present, but we have to get really well prepared, well informed to access this complex but open market. It's a safe market with if we can say that the Emirates is in the doing business rank of the World Bank, it's number 16. So that gives you a very good idea of the legal security and how business are done in the UAE, establishing companies or distributing or working here. So just to finalize my comments, UAE, a strategic place, commercial hub, very important exhibitions are taking place here, like Arab Health, Dufat, MedLab. From Stenda, we try to support this sector since several years now. We organize a trade mission to Arab Health. I think now we've done 7 years already, and it's a very important event in our calendar. It takes place at the end of January. We invite the companies to ask us about this action for next year. We have among the attendees, we have several companies who have participated with us these years, and they have been successful. So it's very important also to remember that. And this webinar is also included under this umbrella of promotion activities to get to the companies to prospect the market, to know more about what the UAE is offering, and we have the opportunity to listen to our friends from MPC, one of the main players in the sector in the UAE. So we are very, very happy and proud to having you joining us and explaining your views and your advices and showing the opportunities that the market is offering for our companies. So thank you very much for your attention, and I think from my side it's okay. I can leave the floor. I can leave the floor for Jasmine and Jinesh. Thank you very much.
Sure, Rosario. Thank you so much. I want to thank all your colleagues sitting in Spain, in Andalusia, as well as yourself and Carlos for selecting MPC. As you well mentioned, we're one of the main players here. My name might sound weird or strange, but I am Spanish, even if you don't believe it. So I can do a lot of clarifications when it comes to certain technical terms that we're going to be explaining after in the Q&A. So from my side, I wanted to explain, my name is Yasmin. I'm the Partnerships and Business Development Manager in MPC. MPC stands for Modern Pharmaceutical Company. And I've been in the company for around 6 months right now. But before that, I was into consultancy. So I've been living in Dubai for the last 7 years. You'll see that we're going to cover quite a lot of topics, which I believe and I hope they're going to be of your interest. And I'm going to leave the room to Mr. Jignesh, who's the Business Development Manager for our pharma consumer division, more dedicated to pharma products. Whereas for me, I'm more corporate, so I would be taking care of medical devices, supporting Jignesh division, as well as Albata and MPC affiliates. So the room is yours, Jignesh. I'll just dig in deep after. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Yasmin. Thank you, first of all, Extenda team for giving us an opportunity to be here in this webinar. And I do not speak Spanish, sorry, so I'll continue in English. So quick introduction of myself. I'm Jignesh Guradra. I'm from India, and I'm working with MPC for last 5 years. I'm a pharmacist, and I did my MBA back in 2014. And right after that, I came to UAE and joined one of the leading healthcare group in the UAE. I worked there for over 4.5 years. And in 2018, I moved to MPC. I'm working with MPC for last 5 years in different roles. So I started as a principal affairs manager in MPC, which is the point of contact role between our partners and the MPC. And then I'm in business development role also for last 1 year. And so that's all about me. And I think we can move forward to the presentation today about MPC and a little bit more about the UAE. Yeah. So thank you, everyone. Can you share? Yes.
Can you see my screen if I share?
Yeah, Yasmin, you can put on the presentation mode. Yes, thank you.
Sí, se ve. Yes, we can see it perfectly.
Yasmin. Yeah, we can see it. Yes, Yasmin, can you move to the second slide, please?
Oops, sorry about that.
It's okay. Yeah. So yes, a little bit more about MPC. So we started way back in 1969 as a retail pharmacy, and now after 54 years in the UAE, we are now one of the leading and major distributor in the UAE. MPC is part of the Al Batha group of companies, and Al Batha group is one of the largest private business group in the UAE. Al Batha is like active in the 7 key segments, like automotive, real estate, consumer, engineering, and of course healthcare. And there are 32 plus companies in the Al Batha group, and MPC is part of the Al Batha healthcare division. Today, we supply more than 20% of the UAE's needs. And that's why we said that we are one of the major and the leading distributor in the region. We are ranked #1 by our customers for consecutively 9 years. And this is a survey conducted by IQVIA Health, which is a very well-known agency. Previously, it was known as the IMS Health. And when it comes to the service level, among all distributors, we have been ranked #1. We are #1 by volume also in the UAE. We are delivering a very comprehensive set of products to our to customer in the UAE. We are dealing with the prescription medicines, generics, biologics, biosimilars, orphan drugs, nutraceuticals, consumer health products. On the medical side, we are dealing with the medical equipments, surgicals, lab devices, consumables, dentals. I mean, the whole comprehensive product offering. We are supplying around 2,000 plus customers. That means we are supplying to the hospitals, we are supplying to the retail pharmacies, government institutions, modern trade, which is hypermarket, supermarkets. And when we are saying 2,000 plus customers, means we are almost 95 to 100% coverage number of doors we are reaching out to. We are partnered with 100 plus agencies, both pharma consumer and medical division together. Last year, we were $800 million in revenue. So mainly we are operating in the UAE, but we are also supporting our partners by operating by running the hub operation, which is in the free zone. So our partners who want to redistribute or re-export their goods in the other region. So we also support our partners through our free zone facility, hub operation facility in the free zone. So that's a short introduction about MPC. If anyone has any question or any doubt, I mean, you can ask me in between, you can stop me in between. I'm okay with that. Little bit about the MPC structure. So as Yasmin mentioned in the beginning that I'm a business development manager for pharma consumer. So I represent pharma consumer division where we are dealing with the products belongs to the pharmaceuticals and the consumer health products. So that is one of the business vertical in the MPC. Then there is a MPC medical, which is, as I mentioned before, about the medical equipments or lab products, surgicals and consumables. Then we also have the MPC retail, which is with the patient and customer direct interface, which is more of retail pharmacies and the clinics. As of today, we are operating around 40 plus pharmacies under MPC retail. And then we are supported by our all in-house divisions and facilities by supply chain, logistics, marketing team, legal, compliance, quality. So we are a very full-fledged healthcare service provider, one of the leading distributor in the region. Can we move to the next slide? Yeah, so that was all about MPC. I would like to ask if anybody wants to know anything more about MPC. I'm here to answer, address that.
Thank you, Jignesh. So I'm going to jump into, which I think is the area that you're going to be really interested in, is the UAE healthcare landscape. I'm just going to talk very high level figures here and initiatives. So as part of the key trends or initiatives in the healthcare sector here, I believe we can divide them in two different blocks. The first block would be the public health. So that would mean strategies and initiatives that are being completely deployed and mandated by the different government authorities. And I'll come back to that in a minute, and you'll see how fragmented the market is. And then the other block is more related to health IT, medtech, innovation. So within the public health healthcare block, one of the key trends is the cancer screening. This has been an issue here for a couple of years. So especially when it comes to early detection of breast cancer screening, there's been a couple of initiatives from the Ministry of Health, to drive around 1,700 kilometers throughout the 7 Emirates in the country just to detect women. Now, you have to understand that in the healthcare space in the country, it's more of a reactive kind of healthcare system rather than a proactive. So this is why this type of pre-screening, pre-diagnosis initiatives are being run by the government. It is extremely important, and also especially it is important that they are the ones activating these sort of initiatives to make sure that the insurance companies roll in the same way or swim in the same way as the healthcare authorities do. So that would be one of the key trends. The second one is from a smoking perspective. The government has tried to stop the smoking trend in the country, and they've used a couple of parameters to do that. So first of all, they've been banning smoking in public places, especially schools, public institutions. Now, it hasn't gone to the hospitality space yet, as we can find in Spain, which has been completely prohibited, and we've been running like this for the last 10 years. And as a matter of fact, it even got more restricted in Spain because of COVID, to the level that in some autonomías you couldn't even smoke in open spaces and terraces. So the government here, what they've done is they've included 100% tax in tobacco products for the importation of those sort of products, and also they're trying to support this key trend by coming up and constructing cessation clinics to help mainly the locals, of course. The other trend would be, and this is one of the largest trends, which I believe Rosario already mentioned before, is the obesity, diabetes, and cardiovascular diseases. This one's very important. You also have to understand the dynamics of how people live here. Sometimes it can be quite sedentary and quite slow, and everything's delivered onto your home. So this is why also the government, apart from trying to combat obesity, they also came up with a fitness challenge, which runs every year by the Sheikh of Dubai, by the prince, as a matter of fact. So in order to encourage locals to go through this screening for diabetes, obesity, they said, okay, you're going to have to go through the screening, and then if you do the screening, you'll be able to qualify for the TÉCNICA insurance card. Now, why is this aspect important? The TÉCNICA insurance card is a premium insurance card for locals, where all the healthcare services are completely free of charge for them. So at the end of the day, what they're trying to do is to make sure that their own people, their citizens are healthy. Now, when it comes to the next key trend would be the inflation. And there's an increase in resource pressures. At the end of the day, governments, hospitals mainly, private and public, they're trying to reduce costs. And this is why one of the reasons that the healthcare market here is run on an insurance-based model. And the healthcare market here, both the government and the hospitals and the clinics, they're trying to implement the DRGs. That's called the diagnostic related groups. And what that means is that part of the payment of the treatments is taken care of by the government, another percentage is taken care of by the hospital, and the other percentage is taken care of by the patient. And that would allow, not an equal, but more of a balanced split of the cost between the different parties within the healthcare spectrum. Another key trend, which I'm sure you already know, and it's been more in growth since, of course, COVID, is remote healthcare and telehealth services. I believe the market is not going to be properly or like more run through telehealth applications, but it's going to be more the balance of healthcare applications and, you know, physical visits to the hospitals. So it's about that, finding that suitable hybrid balance between the connected life online and the telehealth and the teleconsultations, together with the visits to the hospital. Now, if we are to get into telehealth, that health IT medtech sector within healthcare has its own particularities, its own limitations, its own regulations when it comes to data privacy, its own regulations when it comes to getting the licenses to have VoIP over the internet, that's voice over the internet, and be able that your AI solution does work and is operating within the UAE market. And then, like I mentioned, AI-enabled services. The key to this trend is going to be not just to implement AI in the healthcare ecospace, but making the AI experience more of a customized experience for that for that particular patient. Now, the AI-enabled healthcare experience, I can already see it in the dermatology sector here, for example, in which patients are not told by the doctor what kind of dermatological treatments they can get, but it's shown and represented with a 3D AI application right before any treatment is being conducted. So at the end of the day, it enhances the AI and the 3D experience of the customer and of the patient, but it also allows to trigger more of a need from the patient side. At the end of the day, we got to remember that, you know, in a sad way here, we don't really call them patients, we call them clients or customers, because it's a privately run healthcare sector, not just like in Spain, where you know, by the grace of God, everything is covered. You know, everything's governed by the government, and all the regulations and the operations and the mandates are completely transparent by the Ministry of Health. But you will see that here it's pretty fragmented. So I'll come in that in a moment. So these are a bit of the trends. I'm going to pass on to the next slide. So this is a bit of a summary on the UAE healthcare landscape. As you can see, and Rosario also mentioned, there's 9.6 million inhabitants, population here in the UAE. Of course, 88% of it is expats, and the life expectancy is 79 years old. Now, here's when the insurance comes into play. For the UAE nationals, all the healthcare costs are funded by their government. Like I mentioned before, by the Wakaya program, by the TÉCNICA insurance card. They have many different cards depending on where the local actually resides within the 7 different Emirates. And when it comes to the expats, everything is funded by the insurance. So when you come here and you come and live here, most of the time you will get an employment contract, which comes with a visa, which comes with an insurance card. Now, this is mandatory by law in Abu Dhabi and Dubai. However, for the Northern Emirates of Sharjah, Ajman, Ras Al Khaimah, Al Quwain, and Fujairah, this doesn't apply. So that would depend on the negotiation that you have with your employer. What we also call the employer here is also a sponsor. Now, as part of the SWOT of the country, you will see that one of the strengths of the country is the overall wealth of the country, as well as the political stability. Like I mentioned right now, the compulsory health insurance. 2 of the weaknesses would be that the healthcare ecosystem is fragmented as per emirate, and there's different operating bodies per emirate. But the healthcare system is mainly being led by Dubai and Abu Dhabi, where most of the population, or 50% of the population, is living. And then every single emirate has operational autonomy. So that means that they have complete jurisdiction over their healthcare initiatives, strategies, and plans. And in terms of opportunities, most of the healthcare spectrum is being determined by Abu Dhabi's Vision 2030, by Dubai's industrial strategy for 2032, Vision 2021 of Dubai, which that one is already over. And one great opportunity for the healthcare sector is the UAE retirement visas. So at the end of the day, now the UAE is implementing the golden visas, which means people can stay longer time. So then the life expectancy is going to grow, the population is going to grow, the amount of treatments is going to grow. So yeah, the population is on the right, the treatments are on the right, the costs are on the rise. So this is why we want to highlight this. And then one main area that is also very important is the medical tourism in mainly in Dubai. And when we talk about medical tourism, we're mainly focusing on dermatology, ophthalmology, and orthopedics. And then I want to make a bit of a caveat here. There's a difference between medical tourists and there's a difference between health tourists. Medical tourists, it doesn't mean that they're sick. Some might be, some might not be. If they are sick and they're going to go through a surgery, they're called medical tourists. If they come here for example, an aesthetic or a dermatological treatment, which is non-invasive, they're called health tourists because they're not necessarily sick, and whatever treatment they're going to do is elective, completely elective. And then for threats, during COVID, we experienced a shortage on qualified healthcare personnel. So during the COVID period, the UAE government started cabulating or starting to think about, perhaps providing licenses to doctors that are not residing in the UAE. So those doctors either would be providing support to the doctors that are based here through online applications. This is why I just mentioned the balance of the telehealth and the physical visits to the hospital. The hybrid model is the ideal type of model that the country is aiming for. And then, like one of the areas that we mentioned before, would be the focus on cost reduction following the increase of healthcare costs. So this is a bit of, in a nutshell, you can see that there's 23,000 physicians in the country. The pro rata would be 19 physicians per 10,000 people. 13,000 hospital beds, 130 plus hospitals. Of course, there's a bigger percentage of private hospitals than of public hospitals. So this is a bit in a nutshell, and the market size is 19.5 billion in 2020. I believe this slide is pretty important, especially if you're thinking of selling your product here, and understanding how the market is fragmented. And as I said before, what you see here is the complete operational autonomy of every single emirate. So in Spain, you would have the private clinics, the private hospitals. In that case, you would go for your direct sales with those particular clients. However, those particular clients still have to follow the regulations of the Ministry of Health, and some regulations are autonomic. So it depends on the competencias or competences of per autonomy, but most of the healthcare spectrum in Spain is managed by the Ministry of Health, and then the different autonomic healthcare bodies. But at the end of the day, everybody has to conform as per the regulations of the Ministry of Health. Now, for the UAE, it is true that at the top regulator of the healthcare ecosystem is the Ministry of Health. However, the different bodies are broken down depending as per emirate. So in Abu Dhabi, the regulator of the healthcare ecosystem would be the Department of Health. But when it comes to the operation, running, and the management of the hospitals within the Emirate of Abu Dhabi, it would be SEHA, which stands for Abu Dhabi Health Services Co. And if you would want to sell your services there or your products, you would have to go through a tender process, and their tender application is called RAFID. Now, in order to be able to download the conditions of the tender, los pliegos, you would have to, of course, pay a fee per year that is renewed. Usually, the access to those particular tenders would come from the distribution companies, because if you want to do business here, either you establish yourself a base here, or a branch or a sales office, or you would have to partner up with a distribution company just like us. When it comes to Dubai, the main regulator would be the Dubai Health Authority, also known down here like the DHA. So again, they would regulate every single aspect and parameter within the emirate. And then the operator of those players who's managing all the DHA hospitals will be the Dubai Academic Health Corporation. Now, I'm talking about the public ecosystem here. The private, they can run as they like, as long as they comply with the regulations of the Ministry of Health. And if they're located in Dubai, they have to follow the regulations of the Ministry of Health, together with the guidance and the regulations of the Dubai Health Authority. So the location of the hospital is very important to know which regulations they gotta follow. And then in Dubai, there would be another tender platform, which is called Yager. These are changes that have been happening this last 1 month. but before that it was called Tejari. This is the old Tejari. And then as for the Northern Emirates, so that's Sharjah, Ajman, Abu Dhabi, Sharjah, Ajman, Ras Al Khaimah, Al Quwain, and Fujairah. You would have as a regulator, of course, the Ministry of Health, and then the operator. This is new from a year ago, Emirates Health Services, also called the EHS. But also there's 2 operators within the Northern Emirates. You also have the Ministry of Presidential Affairs. The Ministry of Presidential Affairs does have 4 to 5 hospitals under them, but they only operate them and run them. But those hospitals still have to go under the regulations of the Ministry of Health. For the tender platform, if you would want to sell any of your products to the Ministry of Health or the EHS, every single tender has to go through the EHS. Now, for the hospitals that go under the Ministry of Presidential Affairs, that would be a direct RFQ coming from those particular hospitals. So there wouldn't be necessarily a standalone tender platform, but rather more of a direct RFQ contact with those particular hospitals. So that's the only exception. The rest, you can see that it's quite conforming and follows like a very defined structure. So this would be the public sector general overview. And then I'm gonna be very brief about the part on regulatory requirements and how MPC handles the registration of medical devices. If you have any questions about pharma devices, pharma products and the regulatory requirements needed, we can assess that and go through it during the Q&A session. So these are some of the major points for consideration for the registration of medical devices. If you want to sell your product here, you would have to appoint a local distribution company that has a Ministry of Health valid drugstore license. Now, MPC does have that. Most of the distribution companies here do have that, because if not, they wouldn't be able to stock devices, they wouldn't be able to stock medicines. So this is like one of the most basic requirements. Then prior to the product registration, the registration of your product in the UAE market, the product needs to be classified with the Ministry of Health, as well as the manufacturing plant of where that product is being manufactured, even before the product is commercialized in the country. As you already know, medical devices are classified in 4 different categories, depending on the class. So class 1, 2, and 3, and 4. It goes from lowest risk up to the highest risk. And then the manufacturing plant, when it requires to be registered here, it has to follow the ISO 13485 and also the GMP certification, which is a very basic requirement. And one highlight that I wanted to put in here is that, believe it or not, the UAE healthcare market is a very mature one. And this is why we and the government here does go for the highest quality standards. So minimum requirements would be that your product is CE or FDA approved. If that's not the case, this is not a product that we can commercialize. And this is a bit the process on the timelines and the registration process of medical devices. So like I said before, the product needs to be classified first. That with the Ministry of Health, that usually takes 2 weeks. And the Ministry of Health will determine if your product is a medical device, in which case it will follow a longer procedure. Number 2, what can happen is that it's directly cleared or exempted and it doesn't require to be registered, and it can only be used for professional use, and it classifies as a class 1 medical device, meaning it has a lower degree of risk. And then from there, you will just get the import permit and then you can just commercialize it. And then the third option that the Ministry of Health can dictate is that the product doesn't necessarily have to be registered with the Ministry of Health, but requires to be registered with another authority within the country. So these are the 3 different situations that can happen whenever you go for Ministry of Health classification. Now, for the product classification, it will be 2 weeks. For the site registration or the manufacturing plant registration would differ something between 3 to 5 weeks. And for the product registration itself, it would be 4 to 6 months. So overall, the whole turnaround process until your product is registered, if it's a medical device, would be 6 to 7 months overall. So this is a bit of the regulatory requirements within the country. And then the last slide would be more high-level points from MPC. As Jignesh highlighted, we have a global understanding of the market. We are connected with, across so many suppliers across the world, both being into the pharma spectrum and the medical device spectrum, vitamins, nutraceuticals, you name it. The company MPC is completely established. We've been here since the 1960s. We're trusted by major corporations such as Novartis, Johnson & Johnson. We have the big corporations. We also have medium to smaller corporations. We do have a proper quality management structures, different teams that handle the regulatory affairs, the supply chain, the logistics, and we're completely focused in the needs of our principals as well as the need of our customers. And the whole company does comply with international standards. So that would be it from my side. I don't know if you would have any questions for me or Jignesh, and if there's any doubts.
Thanks, Yasmin, for the excellent presentation and for the clear info, the complete set of info you are providing us with concerning the market. If the I am saying this in Spanish, that they can pose their questions either now or after Manuel from Eurogaza delivers his speech. So I'm switching to Spanish now. Pues muy bien, muchas gracias a Yasmin Izar Muñoz, que bueno, creo que ya lo ha dicho, lleva varios años trabajando en los Emiratos, pero es de origen español. Si en este momento quieren ustedes plantear sus cuestiones, sus dudas, puede ser una buena oportunidad. Si no lo estiman oportuno, pues vamos a pasar a presentarla a la empresa andaluza, que nos va a hablar un poco, que va a compartir un poco su experiencia. Por medio del chat pueden plantear las cuestiones. Espero que habrán visto que en el chat he ido recordándoles, pues efectivamente, que pueden plantear las cuestiones por medio del chat, en inglés o en castellano, como prefieran, porque los ponentes también las están viendo, y tanto en inglés como en castellano las van a comprender. Bueno,
muchas gracias. Yo querría hacer una pregunta, si no tenéis inconvenientes. Me presento, soy Pablo Lería, soy compañero de Enrique aquí en el departamento. Yes, hello, Mr. Jignesh and Yasmin. Thank you very much.
You can do it in English, much better. Yes. Just so Jignesh can follow, please.
Yes, I'm going to do it in English. It's just thank you very much for your presentation. I think it's being very it's clarified very well the panorama. But I would like to ask you about an example of product or of device or of service that you found. I mean, to know a little bit, how did it get into your activity? How did you find it? It was a surprise. It was not a surprise. It went through because it was innovative, because it was cheap. I mean, if you can give us an example of good practice, that could be interesting for the Andalusian companies. You know what I mean? Just to know where can be the key of success, let's say, to the UAE. Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Pablo, for your question. It's a very good question, by the way. So we always say that, the key to success is really depend on what kind of products you bring to the market. So if you bring innovator product, definitely it would be a great success. But if you are planning to bring like a generic, then you really need to bring those generics which has been really meeting the unmet needs in the market. And the products, the innovator products, are quite high price. And if you can bring the generic, as the first, the second, or in the early stage, definitely after the patency expiry, so that would be a key success. And here in UAE, the regulatory requirements are that that the products from the European market or the USA or the UK, in general, the developed market, those products are being preferred. So if you're a generic company bringing product from such market, you would be having an advantage. So that's about the innovator and generic. And also there is a general sales product, which is the non-pharmaceuticals in general. So that's also have a good market if you are really bringing the differentiated products, some different type of forms or some different type of indications, which is not really available in UAE. That you require a lot of research. Definitely through your agent can support you. So these are the elements for the product success of the UAE.
If I may add to that, I think it's also very important, to also as a manufacturing company to have a clear vision of where you want to go, what kind of support you require from the from the distributor, and where is it that you're aiming to go with your product. This is not about hopping countries or hopping distributors, but really doing your homework and getting an understanding on where you could potentially fit within the segmentation in the country. What's the added value you can bring onto the table? What's your competitive analysis in comparison to the different brands that are already locally here? How you can compete? Is it in price? Is it a very differentiating factor? Is it the post-sale service? What is it that you're offering different? And if it's an innovative product, how far are you willing to take it? Are you willing to also invest in certifications? Sometimes we see that that the products are really amazing, but they haven't gone through clinical studies or clinical trials. They don't have the certifications. They don't have a CE. They don't have an FDA. There's still a need in the market, but we cannot commercialize it. Because
Exactly.
as we said before, this is about high quality standards, and it's not that we mandated it. This is a requirement from the government. As a matter of fact, and let me extend to that. Usually, the minimum requirement would be the CE certification, but some accounts here, especially the government, would necessarily ask for the CE and the FDA. So if some products don't have that, our sales team are being capped or limited in the potential and the maximization of the revenues of the company and of the sales team too. This is why the certifications are so important, because then you can cover, private and public.
If I may also, Jasmine and Jitesh, I think it's important for the public and the companies to understand also that the local production is very low. So there's an opportunity, always, of course, complying with all the requirements and all the standards. But the UAE, as in many other fields, in this one, is a net importer of products. So I think this is important for them to see the opportunities with all the compliance that they need to provide to register the products.
That's a good
Thank
point,
you.
Rosario. When it comes to the local manufacturing, and perhaps Jignesh can also add on this, you will mainly find very simple disposables, okay, which are being locally manufactured, as well as generics and pharma products. But again, it's not going to be anything too innovative. Most of the most innovative products that complete or cover all the clinical trials, they all come from abroad. So if we were to talk about local manufacturing of healthcare products or pharma products, it would be mainly generics and high and really low, simple disposables. Perhaps you want to add on to that, Jignesh?
No, that's perfectly covered. Especially for the pharmaceuticals, yes, government is encouraging the local industries, local investment into the manufacturing. So if you are planning to do the local manufacturing, definitely you would have some advantage for the pricing, some sort of regulatory advantage.
Regulation.
Ministry is supporting such local manufacturing.
Dinesh, if I just may add something very quick. This March 17, I was reading in the National, the local newspaper from Abu Dhabi and the UAE, that Dubai Hospital says genetic test could transform child health. So this is a company from the USA that opened the center in Dubai last year, and they are specialists in genetic testing. This is just to show our companies that, like you were saying, how important if you have something that has value added, innovative products or services that, of course, are backed up with all the necessary trials and certification and scientific results, they can enter, because the most advanced or the most unique your product or your service is, the most chances you have to have a chance in this market, because you are adding something that maybe is not available yet, or something that adds something different from what we can find. So I just wanted to mention this recent news about the genomic testing
Yes.
being available at the low cost price.
Very good point what you just raised here, and this goes on to purely lab applications. What you're mentioning here, Rosario, is mainly a focus from the UAE healthcare sector on cell therapy, genomics, molecular biology, testing on HPV. So this can be completely automated or can be semi-automated, but then this is mainly lab applications, purely lab. And this is also run by the UAE government, by one of the largest, Enrique. People are not muting themselves. Can you please tell? Because there's a lot of background.
Yes, absolutely. It looks like some. Let me mute
una
whoever.
presentación que tenemos que hacer de la empresa.
Creo que es Manuel.
Please attend. Manuel, I'm trying to mute you now. Manuel.
Sebastián Zafra.
Manuel.
Sebastián.
I'm sorry. It looks that they are not noticing. Just a second. Manuel. Excuses for the inconvenience. Trying to mute them down. Just a second.
Esto es una cosa que nos han pedido los de Extendan, que le echemos una.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. It looks like Manuel has to begin its delivery, his speech now, Mr. Manuel from Mirogazza. So there is a couple of questions in the pipeline. If it's okay, we'll give way to Manuel, and then we'll proceed with these two questions. And in case there are some more, we'll try to answer them, because it's. I know we've been speaking for an hour now. It's been very interesting, but I guess that our experts from MPC have other tasks. So I'll ask Manuel to begin with his presentation. In fact, Manuel, can you hear us? Manuel, hello. Hi, Manuel. Are you there?
Hello, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay, perfect.
Hi, Manuel. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone here. I will start this short presentation from our company in English, but I will make the whole exposition in Spanish, if you don't mind, because I think it will be probably easier for all the people that are.
Sorry, Manuel, we have an English-speaking person from MPC, so if you don't mind in English.
We'll do the whole presentation in English, don't mind.
Yes, please, thanks.
And in any case, Jasmine, in case it is needed, do you think there is a chance that you can perform some translation for Jutnesh, in case needed, in case.
I'll have to do that later, but not on the spot.
Okay.
Well, yes. To make a short presentation of who we are, yes. So let me that one. So can you hear my screen now?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, so we are Eurogasa Emergencias. We're a company based in the south of Spain, in Córdoba, in Andalusia. More concrete, in La Carlota, is a small town here, around 10,000 inhabitants. We are producing ambulances, so we are in the health sector, but we are a special company in this sense. because we are working also with vehicles. So we are in the middle. I mean, we are, let's say, medical vehicle modifiers that goes to the sanitary sector. Just to have some information about us, we have certifications in different important tests that are mandatory for the ambulances in Europe. And what we have found is that in the GCC countries, they are really value also the homologation process that we have in Europe. So this is a good reason why we have entered in the market, because we have worked in a way that can like supply something special to the market, something that is different. They have been used to work with American vehicles. Now they are changing to the European standard. But what is really important for the GCC countries is that you have like a high level quality product, because they are really wanting to buy this kind of new products. So just to give you some information about us, we have facilities in here with 1,200 square meter facilities, and we have a production of 2,500 units a year. So this is the amount of vehicles. Most of them are going outside. Let's say maybe 60-70% of our production are going to the external countries, not being here in Spain. That maybe around 600 vehicles stay in the country. But what makes it different, our production, is that we are working in this security innovation, and this is something that it seems like in every country it should be like that, because we have it in Europe. But when you are traveling to other countries, you can find that they don't have these specs. So they are really aware to buy this kind of products, and that's what makes us different. We also use we're using technological information from the vehicle to be used also to control all the fleets. You have some pictures here from our ambulances. I guess you are more interested in our experience in the GCC than what we are doing. So yes, to give you an idea, we start thinking on going to GCC countries like 5 years ago. We went to some shows by ourselves. The experience was not as good as we expected at the first point. Then we contacted Extenda, Rosario, and Enrique. They were the people that works with us, and it was a great experience because they have the knowledge, and you can use them and their knowledge also, and the relations in the country to make easy to reach some people in there. If you are thinking on going to the GCC countries, UAE in this case, you have to think that it's really important to start working with someone that knows the country and knows the people in there. It's quite difficult to enter these kind of countries without having the right connection in there. Because they used to make businesses in a different way of what we are used to do it in Europe or maybe in North America. In some way, they need to feel that you are you want to go to the country and you want to invest in the country. You know, you cannot have the idea of doing a business and going back to Spain, just get the money and forget what has happened in the country. The point for them is that they want to see that you really want to invest in the country and you really want to be in there. So for us, the strategy was easy and complex, and at the same time, I mean, easy in the way that we use the knowledge of Extenda, and in that case, and we start to be in the shows and see what is happening in there and visiting people in there. And it was not 1 year or 2 years; it was almost 3 or 4 years to start doing business in the UAE. But finally, we have found a way to make business in there through a local partner. That is really important also, that you can find a local partner that can represent your interest in the country, that he will look for your business in there, because they also know better than you how to make businesses in UAE. Doing businesses is quite complex. I mean, it's really different of what we are used to doing here, because we try to do business in short time. For the Arab people, doing business will be really long time. So you can expect to do a business in 1 month, and maybe it will be 2 years. But this is their way to do business, and it's their country. So we, as producer, has to adapt to their way of doing businesses. We cannot try to push and say, okay, if I'm not doing the business in 1 month, 6 months, I will go. Okay, the Arab will say, okay, bye-bye. I don't want to do business with you. I need to know you. I need to see how you are. They need to come in here and see how our facilities are. You need to go in there and see how customers' facilities are. You need to establish a relation, but it's easier if you do this with someone that is in the country and they know the other people in there. If not, it will take not 2 or 3 years, maybe it will take 10 years to have this kind of relation with the people in there. And one really important thing is that they really value high quality products. They really value high quality products, and they they can pay more than the price that maybe you can have for this high quality product in the UAE than the price that you can have in Europe. But we cannot think that they will pay like stupid and crazy things. They want the technology, and they will pay for that technology. And sometimes you will be surprised, because in our case, for example, we have a really let's say example that get us like crazy. It mess up our mind. We are producing ambulances, and we are selling the ambulance, and they say, okay, I want the best stretcher camilla. I want the best stretcher in the market. It's like $40,000. Es una camilla de $40,000. And we are discussing about some important thing that for us is the floor of the ambulance. And say, okay, it can be wooden. Decían que puede ser madera el suelo de la ambulancia. For us, being wooden, it's crazy. I mean, it goes against the European regulation. But for them, it was really important just to show that they have like the best quality stretcher, but they don't really care about the floor, because you cannot show the floor. I mean, no one is caring about how the floor is done. So in some way, you need to have someone in there that can make you understand what they are really valuing in the market. Because maybe you're producing something that for you is really important in one aspect, and they don't really care about that. But if you add like gold, I don't know, or silver or whatever in your product, they will say, okay, I want it, and I will pay a lot of money because it has gold. And for the show, they also want to have this kind of products for the show. In fact, we have sold the first electric ambulance in Dubai that Dubai Corporate Ambulance Service has. It's produced by us. Well, the range of this product is really low. I mean, they can do like less than 200 kilometers. So maybe it has no sense, but they say it's for the show. I want to show that I have the first electric ambulance in the region. So that can be a point. But just entering with this vehicle has given us the opportunity to enter in other regions with other vehicles that are more common vehicles. But you have like to put this small, effort to be in the market. That the people start to know you, and then you have more opportunities to be in there. But it will be not possible for us if we have not have like represented in there, that they are representing us in the whole UAE. and they are the ones that take care about all the projects that we are developing in there. And there is also a really important thing that I want to share with all of you. When you are negotiating the price, that will get you all crazy. I mean, it's really a strange way. We have been awarded in a tender, and then we have to negotiate the price after being awarded. This is not like in Europe. If you go for a tender and you have the awarded, everything is finished. You know all the things from the tender. You know price. You know time. You know everything. In UAE, you have your tender, and then the government came to you and say, okay, but if it's possible, if we can make some changes on the vehicle you are going to provide. Well, I went to the tender with some specification. Why you want to change it? Okay, but we need to change. So they always need to change some things during the negotiation process. So you have to be really open-minded to make business in the UAE, because they are not working like we work in Europe. They are not working like we work, for example, we are selling a lot of vehicles in Latin America and North America, and we don't know, we have never found what we have found in there, just being awarded for a tender and then having a negotiation. And you are supposed to deliver a vehicle in 3 months, and for them there is no problem to deliver the vehicle in 10 months if they still are in the negotiation. They do not feel this pressure that we have in Europe of selling fast and continuously. You know, they want to buy what they want to buy at the moment that they want to buy for the price that they want to buy, and they have really clear idea. I totally agree with Jasmine. I cannot hear the whole presentation that she has made, but you need to have a clear strategy of what you want to do and which are your goals for the UAE, but not in a short-term line. You have to think in a long-term perspective. You have to think on investment in the country. These kind of countries needs you to have like 4 or 5 years plan minimum to get some revenue from the market. If you go with a good partner, maybe it can be 2.5 or 3, but it never will be in 6 months, at least from our perspective and our experience. So, well, this is what we have had during this time. If you have any question, I will be more than happy to give you my opinion on how we have done it and what have worked for us and all our mistakes. But for sure, working also with Extenda or maybe the ESEX. But what works for us in the UAE was Extenda. So I strongly recommend you to work with Rosario, because otherwise it will not be possible for us to be in there. Thanks to you, Rosario. Thanks to you. So I don't know if you have any doubt or you want to comment anything.
Por alusiones, dejarme que dé las gracias a Manuel, que I will switch into English. Jitesh, I was just saying that I would like just to thank Manuel. It's been a pleasure for us to work with them, Eurogasta, for several years in a row. And this is the idea and the mentality that to have the support of the institutions that are available for the companies, we also need this commitment. Let's say, when you are prospecting the market, to be open-minded, to really let us, in a way, guide you humbly, I mean, in whatever we know about the market, the contacts. It was decisive in the case of Manuel, that we put them in contact with the big players in the market of this particular sector of the ambulances that we've been working for several years. So that allow us to, let's say, to present and introduce them to the best, so they could follow up, of course, and do their commercial project and establish themselves here and work. but it's very important, this commitment, long-term or mid-term strategies for the companies, open-minded vision, explore the market, come to Arab Health like they did. They participated twice or 3 times with us. Even this year, they were participating with their distributor, but I think we saw each other almost every day at the exhibition to exchange information and support us together. So this is very important, and we are very proud of your work here, Manuel, and your company. So thank you very much. Thank you.
And thanks, Manuel, for your generous presentation, for your sincere speech explaining your experience in the Emirates, especially knowing that you are very busy and you have stolen some minutes of your time to your company to share your views and your experience with us. Thanks a lot. Gracias, mil gracias.
Thanks to all, but I'm so sorry. I have to leave. I have another meeting. Sorry.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot. Hasta la vista, Manuel.
Gracias. Dios.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. There are some other questions in the pipeline. I think that some of them, well, Jasmine has answered to them through the chat system. I think the first one was left behind from Este. I think Este works for the GESE company, software company. But the first question was about tumor testing and the interest in the Emirates about tumor testing. It was a question posed by Esther Carnerero. I think she works at GESE, which is an engineering software engineering company. Jasmine has already answered that there is no verification system for software. It has not to be verified by the authorities. But what about testing systems? Do you think there is an interest in this area?
For testing, it depends which areas and applications we're talking about. But when it comes to testing in IVF, for example, or IVD, testing for example, using testing with analyzers, for example. Here, when it comes to HPV testing, that one is a big one. IVD testing is also a big one. Sperm analysis is also a big one. So it depends necessarily what type of testing we're looking at. And I don't know if we highlighted this, but the oncology subspecialty is also very important from a pharma and medical perspective. As a matter of fact, we have one of the largest oncology hospitals here, called Dawam. And when it comes to the breast screening, like I mentioned before, this was a public health strategy by the government at a certain point of time. I do not have the knowledge if it keeps on running, but if it does, each different emirate would be running its own strategy. Like I mentioned before, everything's completely fragmented. So if you were to present, for example, a breast screening device or application or test, you still need to go through the distribution company to evaluate that particular device and have an understanding if it covers with the minimum regulatory requirements, see if there's an appetite from that distribution company. And if there is, then we would see if that particular device could be registered, and then see that if the final decision of the Ministry of Health when registering it. If probably it would go under the medical device classification, but then we would have to see like if there would be any comments from the Ministry of Health for the classification process. And yes, when I meant about, and I'm answering Esther's question, when I talk about reactive, I'm not talking about the breast screening in a specific. What I'm saying is that the healthcare industry here is reactive rather than proactive. So usually they would be taking care of a specific diseases when you already have the disease. So when you have the illness or some pathogen within your body, that is usually covered by the insurance. But when it comes to pre-screening before an illness or a pathogen or a virus has entered your body, they consider that to not have directly affected you. So usually in those type of situations, the insurance companies would not be covering it. This is why it is very normal here to go to a clinic or hospital and you would see like big banners that says pre-screening package X amount, but it's not covered by the insurance. And then they will tell you like the full range of tests that they would be conducting. So you have to understand what comes out of the pocket of the customer or the patient and what is insurance run. So for example, an area which is not completely covered by the insurance is the pre-screening. Now, an area that will always be covered is imaging and diagnostic imaging, like MRI, X-rays, that are usually covered because it's considered a basic healthcare treatment. But again, you have to also see what is your network and what is your package within the insurance that you're given by your sponsor. This is why I was saying but the insurance package that you're given by the sponsor is extremely important. Not just the quality of the network that you're given, but also how much of the treatments are covered with the insurance, and if they're not, how much you would have to pay, and if they are, how much is the copayment. So everything's determined based on your employment contract, your visa, your position, the insurance that you got. Sometimes in companies it can happen that depending on your grade or depending on where you work, not necessarily all employees will have the same type of insurance. I want to make that clear. So like I said, it's not a European mindset in which everything runs public, everybody pays for everything, and everybody benefits in equal terms.
Excellent, excellent, Jasmine. I think there is one last question. I think it's about time we should be finishing, I guess. But there's one last question. Maybe it's a rather wide question, but anyway, I will pose it briefly. Hello, this is from the Mr. Isidoro from the EU Pharma company. They are distributors of hospital supplies in southern Spain. So they are asking what type of actually medicines they are in most need now. They are the most shocked about now, and the registering process. Thank you. It's a rather wide question.
That was for Jignesh, for sure.
And again, can you repeat the question again?
Sure, absolutely. The gentleman works at the distributing company of medical supplies in southern Spain. He's asking, well, it's a rather wide question. I'd say, what type of medicines are in fact most sought about now, most searched now, more in need, and if they would need a registering process.
Yeah, so again, under hospital supplies, I can speak for the pharmaceuticals. So again, if it is a pharmaceuticals product, it has to go through more or less the same what Yasmin mentioned about the medical device. You also have to have the product classifications, and then if it is the conventional, or let's say the pharmaceutical products, you have to submit the dossiers with the ministry. You have to get the pricing, registrations. So all those steps are same, and you have to go through the registration. Does that answer the question, or?
In my modest opinion, yes. Isidoro, if you are present, please let us know. Anyway, you will have our contact data and as well as Jasmine contact data and Jignesh afterwards, so that if you need additional clarification, you can perfectly with no problem contact them or contact us. Yes, Isidoro says yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Pablo is reminding us that there is one more question from the Meta Clinic firm about metabolomics. I'm trying to find the question through the chat system. I'm sorry, but
yeah, RM Pharma Medical. Yeah,
okay.
metabolics. Yeah, so I believe this is purely a lab type of testing. So for this, I would suggest 2 companies in the UAE, because as per my information, we currently do not focus in that very specific lab super specialty. So I would be mainly focused, or I would try to contact if I was to work in RM, one company called Pure Health. which is a government-run company. It belongs to the Abu Dhabi government, and they have 100+ labs. So that would be number one. For number two, there's another company called Technic, which belongs to the Al Ghurj group, and they do metabolics, genomics, cell therapy. This is the kind of, especially that they touch upon on. So if I would have to mention high-level names, those two would be the companies.
The name of the second one, please, Jasmine.
Second one, Technic. So SCIENTECHNIC. So Technic. Wait, let me write it. Pure Health. Okay, wait a second. Pure Health.
Thank you.
Yep, just wrote them.
Excellent.
No problem.
Excellent. Thanks, Jasmine, and thanks, Pablo, for being there. Okay, we were supposed to finish in an hour. We've been now for almost 90 minutes, which is proof to the interest of the contents and the interest of our attendees. But I think it's about time to finish today. Let me just remind you that this presentation, this webinar, is being recorded, and we'll share with you the link to the complete recording once we come with it. And on my side, thank you to our panelists today, who have generously shared their time and their expertise. Thanks to Manuel at Eurogasa, that has shared his valuable time with us, and of course to Rosario, who's always there, and Pablo for attending and for giving a hand in organizing the event. We will also share with you the presentation that the MPC experts have delivered, and we remind that we are at your disposal in Seville, Spain, and in our office, Dubai office, for your additional needs of info and for supporting you in access to these interesting markets, mature markets, complex markets, but still open, as we have been reminded today. So thanks to everyone, and hasta la vista.
Muchas gracias.
Gracias.
Muchas gracias a todos.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jasmine and Ginesh and everybody else. Thank you, Enrique, for organizing, Pablo for attending, and the attendees from our Andalusian companies. Thank you to all. See you soon. Any doubts or any questions, please feel free to contact us, dubai@estenda.es. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Enrique. Thank you, Rosario. Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks to everyone. Thanks to everyone. Hasta
Thanks
la vista.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.